Variables. This is a temporary storage location or container for data and information. For example, a number or characters of text. We can assign a variable a single value such as a number or a character with the sign. This is not the same as equal to. This is an assignment. The first thing we must do is to declare the variable with the keyword let. You'll also see in some codes the word var being used, which is a short form for variable. So in here, we'd say let temp or let height. And you declare a variable called temp, you declare variable height. Think of variables and the assignments as being buckets or containers of information. We will use two variables of name, temp and height. Then we assign values to these variables. This is called initializing a variable. So I would like the temp to be 32 and the height to be 7. So in this container the temp is 32 and in this container the height is 7. Variables can hold a value of any data type and the data type does not have to be stated. We'll explain the data types, but essentially they're numbers and strings, which is characters. Using variables to store strings. Strings is just text or characters. In this example, there are 3 variables and we assign them string values. So the 3 variables are name, surname and address. In this one, we say let the name equal James. In this one, we say let the surname equal Smith. And in this container, we say address equals 37 Sistine Street. Important to note that string values have to be in quotation marks, as we've seen here. Changing the value of variables. You can change the value of a variable after you've assigned a value to it. Remember that the variable is a temporary storage location container. Once the variable has been created, you do not need to use the let keyword to assign it a new value. Any value you assign to a variable further down the page will override the current value. In the example above, if we want to use another name as follows, you just say name equals Peter, surname equals Jones, address equals 74 Dean Street. Then the computer will use these new or revised names from now onwards. You do not need to put the word let again because you've already used the word let in order to create these 3 variables. You can declare and initialize a variable at the same time. For example, by just saying let name equal Peter. So you've already created a variable or declared a variable and you've already initialized it with the name Peter. This is a quick and preferred method. JavaScript identifiers. All JavaScript variables must be identified with a unique name. These unique names are called identifiers. Identifiers can be short names like X and Y or more descriptive like age, sum, total volume. The general rule for constructing names for variables unique identifiers are as below. You must follow these rules when you're using identifiers. JavaScript identifiers are case sensitive and we'll show examples of this as well. Examples, you'll see how to use JavaScript. On this side is your coding sheet. On this side is the display on the web browser, and the bottom part is a Word document, which is the whiteboard or my explanation sheet. So what you would do, we have an h2 tag up here. As you can see, the JavaScript is written within the body, and all you do, you open it with a script tag and you close it with a /script tag at the bottom. We'll say that we have 3 variables here. These are string variables. That's why they put in quotation marks. And you always end a statement in JavaScript with a semicolon, as you can see here. And below that we have assigned A, B, and C with numbers. So this is all string, this is all numbers. And you can think of it as being 3 buckets. So we assign this one Tom, and we give it the name A. This one, the surname, we call it Smith. This one, address, we call it Blenheim. These are called identifiers, and they have to be unique as well. So let's take an example. Assigning string values to a variable. So we've said let name equals Tom, let surname equals Smith, let address equals that. If I want to see an output, what I would do, I'd say document.write, open brackets. Let's have a printout of the name, the surname, and the address. This bit, don't worry about this, purely for presentation. I've created a lot of spaces between this line and the next line. So if I look at the output, I end up with this. Remember, we've assigned A10, B7, and C, A, and B. So if I take this and put it here, in this example, you can see we are taking A as being 10, which is 1 bucket, B as being 7, and C as equal to or sign the value of A and B. Whatever A and B is, C is assigned the sum of A and B. So if we just want to see what's in these containers, you can see it's 10, 7, and C is 17, which is A plus B. You can do other fairly simple arithmetic calculations as I've shown here, and you'd get these values. So for example, A times B is 7 times 10, you get 70, and A divided by 2 is 10 divided by 2 is 5. I will explain these arithmetic operators in more detail, but this is a plus, that's a minus, this is a multiplication, and that's a division. Of course, you can update and change what's in these containers, but because they're already created, you do not have to put let again. You just override them by putting the identifier followed by the new value you're giving it. So in this case, if I put in name Sally and surname Wellington, it's going to overwrite what the name and surname was before. And if I ask for the output, document.write, give all this output, it produces Sally Wellington 37 Blend Road. And remember, JavaScript is case sensitive. So if you have put the identifier name with a small n, you cannot use this here, a large N here. And you had the address, you've signed the address, you for example, here there's a spelling mistake and it will not work. So if I try producing this output, it's also case sensitive. There's no output being produced here. So this is the error by using a capital when we should have used N. And there's a spelling mistake here in the identifier. The R is missing as well.